Let's take a quick look at the history of higher education to put our interest in moving towards various technologically enhanced and online roles in higher education in perspective. The notion, I think, is that people have been taking such a serious, almost anxious look at using technology in higher education is that we live in perilous times and that the future of higher education is in some doubt. And let's take a quick look at the background here and see why so many have that sense. If you think about the 1,000 years of higher education's existence, for the first 950 of those years, it was a very different institution than we know today because it was such an elite institution, a tiny fraction of 1% attending some form of higher education, colleges in Europe and in colonial America. The basic routine was one of recitation, where students would stand up and simply read from texts, and the curriculum was fixed, entirely fixed. There was no choice, no electives. The trivium and quadrivium, a set of classical topics emphasizing the ancient languages and mathematics. It's interesting that until 1869, students basically were studying the same things as their medieval predecessors. But Charles Eliot, then president of Harvard University, with the strong support of the graduates of the university, started to change the curriculum around to the elective system and majors in the humanities, social sciences, or the sciences as we know today. So from the leadership of Harvard in the late 19th century and most universities around the United States and the world, in fact, following that notion of an elective-based liberal arts education system, more and more, a larger and larger percentage of students were attending college, so that by the current time, 60% of our population has had some exposure to college, and of those in their 20s and 30s, roughly 34% have college degrees. When you're investing what is required in tuition and living expenses, the question becomes, what is the outcome of higher education? Is it worth the investment? The cost of higher education has been increasing for the last 50 years at 3.5% per year compounded, an unsustainable rate of growth, and it's resulted in $1.3 trillion of student debt. So colleges feel they're under pressure from competition with for-profit higher education, which often uses video and online, from the MOOCs, the free or nearly free courses offered online, the fact that especially with competition among colleges, it's hard to reduce the costs for every student and every faculty member in the classroom without increasing the class sizes dramatically. That's very difficult to imagine how one could reduce the costs. And clearly these rising costs at 3.5% per year compounded are non-sustainable. So many, including Clayton Christensen from Harvard, have developed doomsday scenarios. It's become something of a sport, so that the bookstores and libraries have now a collection of books talking about the challenges and pressures on higher education. So the question becomes, given this sense of perilous times and jeopardy, can teaching online somehow deal with this problem creatively, improving the quality of education, the reach of education, and dealing with the cost disease, this unfixable growth rate of costs for higher education? Let's take a look.